Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we will discuss Matthew Atkinson's joyful real-life family announcement and explore the tragic, frozen psychology of Thomas Forrester as the generational wars reignite back in Los Angeles. Let us be brutally, quietly honest about what we just watched, or perhaps what we are perpetually watching. It dawned on me today, sitting in the quiet hum of the early morning, staring at the soft blue light of my television screen, that the most haunting aspect of this show is not the betrayal, it is not the sudden violence, or the corporate espionage. It is the terrifying, unyielding illusion of time standing still. I look at the Forrester mansion, the same opulent, sterile walls, the same shadows stretching across the same expensive rugs, and I feel a strange, hollow ache. I have aged. You have aged. Our real lives have fractured and rebuilt themselves in 1,000 different ways since we first started watching this world. We have loved, we have lost, we have moved cities, we have buried people we care about. Yet, in this fictional microcosm of Los Angeles, these characters are trapped in amber. They are ghosts haunting their own lives, doomed to repeat the exact same traumas, the exact same arguments, the exact same desperate grasps for control. This cognitive dissonance was magnified 100-fold today when I opened my phone and saw a glimpse of genuine, unscripted humanity. Matthew Atkinson, the man who breathes life into the deeply troubled, perpetually agonizing Thomas Forrester, shared a piece of his real life with the world. In a joint Instagram post with his wife, Brittany Ratledge Atkinson, Matthew announced that they are expecting their second child. There was a photograph, simple, tender, profoundly normal. He was gently touching Brittany's very visible baby bump. The caption read, "Baby girl Atkinson loading." It was a moment of pure forward-moving time. They married in November of 2023. They welcomed a baby boy in 2024. And now, a little girl is on the way. His costers, Naomi Matsuda, Jacqueline McInnes Wood, Kimberlyn Brown, flooded the comments with congratulations. It was a beautiful, healthy progression of a human life. And yet, as I smiled at this news, a profound melancholy washed over me. I looked from the photograph of the actor to the memory of the character he plays, and the contrast was almost too much to bear. Matthew is building the future. Thomas Forrester is entirely fundamentally incapable of escaping his past. We must talk about Thomas. We must diagnose the profound arrested development that defines his entire existence. The show currently has him positioned in a sort of off-screen purgatory. He is in Paris. He is working remotely as a designer for the Hope for the Future line. The stated reason for this exile is that he did not want to disrupt Douglas Forrester's life. It sounds noble on paper, doesn't it? It sounds like the choice of a mature, self-sacrificing father. But you and I know better. We have watched this man for years. We have seen the darkest corners of his psychology. Thomas is not in Paris out of nobility. He is in Paris because he is a man who cannot exist in the same physical space as the object of his obsession without eventually consuming himself and everyone around him. His relationship with Hope Logan is not a romance. It is a pathology. I find myself wondering if anyone else feels this strange ache when they look at Thomas. He is a man who was never taught how to love, only how to possess. His entire history is a desperate, clawing attempt to stitch together a perfect family out of stolen parts. Think back to the mannequin. I still shudder when I think of that storyline. Not because it was campy or absurd, though it was both, but because it was a chillingly accurate manifestation of his internal void. Thomas did not want Hope the human being with all her flaws and shifting desires. He wanted Hope the object. He wanted a version of her that would never leave, never argue, never look at him with pity or disgust. He wanted a static, unchanging idol to worship. And now he is designing for her from across the ocean. He is sending sketches, sending fabrics, sending pieces of his soul across the Atlantic to a woman who will wear his creations but will never, ever be able to cure his fundamental loneliness. It is a Sisyphean punishment. He rolls the boulder of his devotion up the hill every single day, drafting the perfect dress, hoping that this time the fabric will be enough to weave a permanent bond. And every day the boulder rolls back down. He remains in Paris. She remains in Los Angeles. The physical distance is merely a geographical representation of the emotional chasm he can never cross. But I suppose I am asking too much from a daytime drama. I am asking for healing where the narrative strictly demands open wounds. This brings us to Douglas. The tragedy of Douglas Forrester is a quiet horror story that the show rarely acknowledges in its full, devastating weight. Douglas is a pawn. He has always been a pawn. He is a child who has been shuffled between homes, between mothers, between competing visions of what his life should be. Thomas claims he is staying in Paris to protect Douglas's stability. But what stability is there in being raised by a man who is perpetually fleeing his own demons? Douglas is learning day by day that love is conditional, that geography is temporary, and that the adults in his life are entirely at the mercy of their own unhealed traumas. I grieve for that fictional little boy. I grieve for the inevitable moment years from now, when the show ages him up and we watch him repeat the exact same pathological mistakes as his father. The cycle is unbreakable. And while Thomas lingers in his European exile, the vacuum he left behind in Los Angeles is being rapidly filled by the very conflicts he used to orchestrate. The generational curse of the Forresters and the Logans does not sleep just because one soldier has left the battlefield. Let us look at Hope Logan and Steffi Forrester. Let us really truly look at them. I watched them interact today, and I felt a wave of absolute exhaustion. They are brilliant, beautiful, capable women, and yet they are nothing more than echoes. They are Brooke and Taylor wearing different clothes, fighting the exact same wars in the exact same corporate boardrooms. It is a terrifying testament to the power of inherited trauma. The spoilers tell us that Hope and Steffi's rivalry is about to violently re-enter the workplace at Forrester Creations. They have already been clashing bitterly and viciously over Deacon Sharp's romance with Taylor Hayes, but now, that personal disgust is going to bleed into the professional realm. It always does. The Forrester Creations building is not a fashion house. It is a coliseum. It is a sterile, glass-walled arena where family members tear each other to shreds over unresolved childhood wounds, masking their psychological bleeding with discussions about profit margins and autumn collections. Steffi's panic right now is palpable. It is a frantic, vibrating energy that radiates from the screen. She is watching her mother, Taylor, fall into a genuine public romance with Deacon Sharp. For Steffi, this is not just a distasteful pairing. It is an existential threat. Steffi's entire worldview, her entire coping mechanism for surviving the chaotic, unstable marriage of her parents, is built on the absolute moral superiority of her family. She needs the Forresters to be the victims. She needs the Logans and their adjacent orbiters like Deacon to be the villains. It is the only way she can make sense of the pain she endured as a child. When Taylor, the supposed paragon of virtue, the woman who was supposed to be the commodithesis of Brooke Logan's chaotic desires, chooses a man like Deacon Steffi's reality fractures, she cannot handle it. She becomes authoritarian. She becomes cruel. She lashes out at Hope because Hope is the safest, most familiar target. If Steffi can crush Hope's line, if she can assert dominance in the boardroom, perhaps she can regain the illusion of control that she is so rapidly losing in her personal life. And Hope. Oh, Hope. I look at her and I see a woman who is desperately, frantically treading water in an ocean of her mother's making. Hope defends Deacon. She rushes to his defense across town, pushing back against Steffi's venom. She points out that Taylor was a willing participant in the affair. Hope clings to the moral high ground because it is the only solid earth she has ever known. She has spent her entire life trying to prove that she is not Brooke, that she is better, purer, more principled. But in defending Deacon, in engaging in this endless cyclical warfare with Steffi, she is stepping right back into the mud. They are trapped. Steffi and Hope are trapped in a cage built by Ridge Brooke and Taylor decades ago. They are fighting over Thomas's role as a designer. They are fighting over Deacon and Taylor. They are fighting over everything and nothing at all. The specifics of the argument do not matter. The only thing that matters is the fight itself. It is the only way they know how to relate to one another. I sit on my couch, the wine glass heavy in my hand, and I wonder why I still care. Why do I subject myself to this voyeuristic complicity? Why do I watch these characters systematically destroy their own peace? I think it is because in a deeply uncomfortable way, they hold up a mirror to our own deepest fears. We watch The Bold and the Beautiful not for the fashion and certainly not for the plot twists. We watch it to confront the terrifying possibility that people do not change. We watch it to explore the dark, quiet fear that we, too, are just repeating the patterns of our parents. That we, too, are trapped in our own neuroses. Having the same arguments with our spouses, our siblings, our children, year after year after year. When Thomas eventually returns, and he will return, because the narrative demands a sacrifice, because Los Angeles is only a flight away, and the pull of the trauma bond is stronger than any ocean, the cycle will simply reset. He will step off a plane, his eyes dark, with that familiar, desperate hunger. He will look at Hope, he will look at Douglas, he will look at the Forrester Empire, and he will believe with the tragic delusion of a man who has learned absolutely nothing that this time will be different. And we will watch. We will sit in the quiet glow of our screens, feeling that strange, familiar grief. We will mourn the peace he could have had. We will mourn the growth he will never achieve. We will think of Matthew Atkinson, holding his newborn baby girl in the real world, experiencing the profound linear beauty of time moving forward. And then we will look back at Thomas Forrester frozen in his beautiful, tragic, inescapable loop. It is a heavy thing to outgrow a piece of media that refuses to outgrow you. It is a surreal grief. We watch them make the same mistakes, and in doing so, they become our strange, dysfunctional family. We pity them. We are fascinated by them. We are tethered to them. The hostility between Hope and Steffi will escalate. The boardroom will become a battleground. Thomas will continue to sketch dresses in the shadow of the Eiffel Tower, trying to sew his fractured mind together with thread and silk. Deacon and Taylor will try to build a house on a foundation of sand, while Sheila lurks in the periphery, a living embodiment of the past that refuses to die. None of them are safe from themselves. They are fundamentally incapable of holding on to happiness because happiness requires stillness. And stillness requires facing the void. They cannot face the void. So they scream, they betray, they design, they flee to Paris. They do anything and everything to avoid the quiet, devastating realization that they are the authors of their own misery. Let us be honest about what we are watching. We are watching a beautifully lit, impeccably dressed horror story about the human condition. We are watching the tragedy of repetition. And as the screen fades to black, leaving only my reflection in the glass, I find myself wishing just for a moment that they could all break free. But I know they won't. And I know I will be here tomorrow waiting to watch them try.